start by thanking the organization that put this thing together, giving me the chance to come and talk about what we do. Secondly, I'd like to apologize for not having the physical product here on time. It got stuck somewhere in Paris, but I think by Monday you should be able to see it at the exhibition. I'd like all of us to take a minute and imagine a talented 21-year-old artist who has just completed his design course in graphic design. He grew up in the urban jungle of Nairobi, Kenya, and like the average Kenyan, let's call him Mwangi. Mwangi's income for the whole family is just enough to watch them get the basic needs on a day-to-day. This is a 2-room house for a family of 5, 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, which is very basic, and a few sets of clothes that are shared amongst all the siblings. At 21, Mwangi has gotten to the point where he needs to leave his furthest place and go and fend for himself, which means getting a job is not an option. At the same time, Mwangi knows that most of these jobs and positions he's looking at all happen on the interwebs. But let's be realistic. The internet isn't free, it comes at a cost. And a huge population in Africa have no access to Wi-Fi, and data bundles are very expensive. And at this point, that's where BRCK comes in and tries to bridge the gap, connecting the growing youth to the internet. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Muthondo Maina, and I'm the creative director at BRCK Inc., and I'll be talking about our platform, the SupaBRCK, and our solution, Moja. Formed in 2013, BRCK was at the forefront of creating internet hardware solutions and software. We are a team of designers, software developers, hardware developers, engineers, and another whole bunch of supporting staff that make BRCK possible. Africa right now has a growing population of about 1.2. And based on the stats that we watched earlier, we know the use of gadgets like mobile phones is growing every day. But the reality is, a phone means nothing if you're not connected. 70% of Africa currently isn't connected to the internet. And here is where BRCK comes in. There's a question we keep on asking ourselves. Why is it that we use technologies built and designed in the West, whereas we live in cities like Nairobi and New Delhi? In Africa, the challenges are different. You'd find that there are areas without 3G coverage. You'd find the situations where power goes out, or there's no power at all. We also have environmental conditions that hinder the good use of the Western products, for example, dust, water, and the like. And here is where, as BRCK, we came together and created our first product, which is called the BRCK version 1. The BRCK version 1 had certain features that made all this possible. As you can see on the far right, there's an antenna that sticks out. What this does is it extends the range of 3G coverage. In case the 3G tower is far off, it improves the signal. It also came with an 8-hour battery, just in case power went out. And also, you could charge the Wi-Fi router. It is a router, by the way. You could charge the router in case there was no power. The other thing we added into the router was a 3G SIM card slot, where when your Ethernet connection went down, you could get connected via 3G, which improved the redundancy. The product was quite a success, and we were featured on such media outlets such as STED, Forbes, BBC, CNN, Wired, and the likes. But from what we got and what we learned from building this product was that the need was much more. That's when last year we came up with the SupaBRCK, which did much more than the predecessor, and we called it the Connected Rugged Microserver. It came with a couple of features. It came with a dual-core Intel 64-bit processor, a 5 terabyte hard disk, redundancy connectivity options with 3 SIM card slots as opposed to 1 from the previous one, and a 10-hour onboard battery. All this was put in an aluminum casing that was weather resistant. So what it could achieve was much more than the previous version of what we built. But just having the hardware means nothing. We need to build solutions that work with the hardware. So some of the things that we're working on and we have done is an education content delivery system using the hardware. It's also a redundant 3G LTE hotspot and a rural health data management system. And we have also made it an edge of the network caching optimization solution. But the core of what we do as BRCK is a solution called Moja. What is Moja? Moja is a Swahili word that means one, and it's a content delivery network and a free Wi-Fi connectivity platform built on top of the SupaBRCK hardware. How does this all work? So it has two core things it does. Based on the fact that it has storage on it, we are able to store things like books, movies, shows, podcasts, and the likes. And it also helps people connect to the internet. Now, in Africa, there are situations whereby you find the internet goes down, but that shouldn't mean the product should stop working. Here is where the local content comes into play. So you can be watching a movie that sits on the SupaBRCK, and it updates every time it gets a connection. So if you're watching the movie, there is no downtime. Or if you're reading a book or listening to a song, there's much more that goes into the content, but I'll get into that later on. How we get this thing going is by having it in different locations. We have them on public means vehicles called matatus. Those are the yellow minibuses that you can see with the stripes. You can have them in buildings, in poles, all around the city. And what this does, it gives everyone constant connectivity wherever you go. Let me go through how it works. You go to your Wi-Fi settings on your phone, and you connect to Moja Free Wi-Fi. After that, you go to your browser, and you enter mojawifi.com, which takes you to a landing page we call the timeline. What the timeline does, it's an infinite scroll, just like Facebook, Instagram, and the likes, whereby you're able to scroll up and down and see content of all types. These can be movies, shows, books, and in there you find like ads embedded and so on and so forth. At the top you can see there's a tab called Channels. Under the Channels tab you get dedicated content. For example, we can get a channel by the BBC where we have news content, and all this content actually sits on the product itself. So with no connectivity, you're still being able to surf your content. And under the Discover tab, you're able to search and look for content that interests you. This is pretty new right now in terms of the UI. We just changed it 1 month ago, but the reception has been very good so far. Beyond looking at the local content that sits on the SupaBRCK, you're also able to go online. So at the top you can see there are a couple of social media icons, WhatsApp, Facebook, and the likes. And there's also a tab called Go Online. When you click on it, you're able to have access to the internet. And by doing so, you can go to your favorite website, or apps of your choice, WhatsApp, Instagram, and the likes. But how is all this possible? Well, for us, connectivity is paid for by attention and not money. We have three main pillars that make this all possible. We have the location agent compensation, where agents get commission for keeping the moja powered on and telling people about it. This can be like a bus driver, a shopkeeper, a store owner. So what they do is, because they have a source of power and they have a premises, they keep the SupaBRCK and it becomes a source of attraction. So they can have a sign saying free Wi-Fi and people are able to access this Wi-Fi. But they are the custodian of the product and they get compensated just by keeping it safe and protected. The second pillar we have is the content providers. These are the musicians, the bloggers and the likes. The content providers get paid for their content just by being on the platform. And lastly, there is the advertisers. These are the people who pay for the eyeballs. So when you have free content, it means that you have to pay someone at the end of the day. The musician needs to be paid, the agent needs to be paid. So their advertiser is the person who brings in the check. Our end goal is definitely to have as many users as possible, which means we have millions and millions of eyeballs. So when we approach an advertiser, we have a selling chip. They're getting eyeballs they didn't have before. Sorry. Oh, I missed all that. Yeah. Now, how do we make money? We make money by providing an engaging platform with loads of users. There is data arbitrage, there's selling of premium content, and there's analytics and data intelligence. But let's look at the real world in this case. Right now, we know the world is tech-driven. It doesn't matter the industry you're in. It can be insurance, it can be media, it can be banking. You can't fight technology. It's in our faces every day. Everyone we know has a cell phone, they can be reached. They use certain apps every day. But as I said before, people in Africa are getting these devices, and very affordable devices. There's some devices maybe that are not sold in the Western world, but in Kenya you can get devices as low as $100 or less. But now, they mean nothing if they can't get connected. My question to all of you would be, how would an Africa that's connected look like? Whereby you found 70% of the growing youth got connected to the internet. I don't have that answer, but it's part of the discussions we can have today. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I actually met Eric Hersman, who is one of the founders of BRCK in 2014. So this must have been shortly before you started the project.
Okay.
Very interesting, and also to see how it developed. My question is, apparently you're not only being an access provider with this project, SupaBRCK, but you're also a content provider. How do you select the content?
So, when it comes to content, it's very hard for us to know what people need or what people want. The best we can do is build an algorithm that watches what people want. So, for example, we get 10 movies, 10 music videos, 10 books, put them on the platform, and with that we can learn. The system will learn that this is what people are watching, this is what people want. And also, the other thing we need to realize is that people in different places want different things. People of different age groups want different things. You know, you might be interested in a book. Someone who's 19 with a smartphone just wants to listen to a music video. So I don't think as humans we can be able to predict that. You know, systems can do that better than us. So I would say it's the system that we built that can guide us towards that answer. Yep.
Obviously slightly related. One is kind of, actually it's not frivolous at all. Where's Madagascar?
Pardon?
Where's Madagascar?
Yeah,
Madagascar. Yeah.
Like where?
Yes, on your map.
So.
It's not there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were asking me like.
Yeah, where's Madagascar?
Oh, on my. Well. There's one thing you'll notice. Okay. I can't defend myself on that one. Let me just be truthful.
Okay, the second part of my
good
question
point.
is, you know, so on one hand, yes, you are providing connectivity, but you know what my deep feeling, and actually relates to the question already asked, is that you appear to be a media company. There seems to be this, you know, if you're providing content, then providing connectivity seems to come on the back of that. Connectivity, the end seems to be the production of media. And if you are going to be a media company, how are you going to protect your users?
So the reason as to why we do the media is for business. There's the distribution of content, which is also a big problem in Kenya, and I presume also in Africa. But the backhaul of the internet has to be paid by someone. And what the content does, it buffers that expense, right? Because you're not constantly being connected. You get people surfing local content. So if I get your question correct, is how do we get the content providers to give us the content?
No. How do you protect your users?
From users. Okay.
How do you protect your users? You are providing them the content. After a while, you become the source of information.
Yes.
And what your users are probably not aware of, they see this content. How are they protected from you directly?
Well, what we're doing is, when you think about content, content is not created by us, right? Now, the content that we display is actually based on demand, right? So we approach like the big media companies, and they give us content. Now, based on the traction, they see more of that. So when you think about, let's say, in Kenya we have like 3-4 TV stations, right? If we got them to give us content, it's up to the user to select which type of content they want to see. We are not the ones we just create the avenue for them to access the content, but we do not select for them what they see or don't see.
Okay, thank you once again. So there'll be more space and time after the talks for the discussion, and I think we dive more into this, because I was also very interested in looking how do you bridge hardware and becoming a CDN.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we'll have some time to tackle that. Once again, thanks a lot for
thank you.
presenting.